Caw-caw.
Welcome to the dirt. I'm Gray. That's Nicole giving out the bird sounds, and we are back. Hello, Nicole. How are you?
I'm great. I honestly made that noise because I thought you were gonna mute it out.
Well, I didn't. So that's how we roll around here.
That's how we roll. We're just two cool kids on the block just starting out here tonight.
I've often been called cool in my lifetime, and I'm
Me
glad you
too, so
recognize it.
often.
Real quick, make sure that you like, subscribe, share, follow all Softball America content. Follow us on the socials. We would love to have you. Follow all the shows. Sydney Spin was on this week along with Good Morning Softball America, and Diamond in the South is coming up, right?
Coming up. She's coming up. And I'm gonna have my first guest on this one. So I'm very, very excited. I cannot wait. You guys are gonna be pumped.
Okay, real
That's
quick.
all I'm giving.
Well, no more teases.
Maybe.
Okay,
What
we'll
were you
see
gonna
what.
ask? This
Nothing.
is the dirt after all. I mean,
We'll see what happens the last hour of the show. So, real quick, before we dive into this week's topics, I said last week I'm going to start doing t-shirts for teams. That's not enough time to mail stuff to somebody. So I just went with something else that was in my closet. So I've got my team, my 2023 Alabama softball.
you should
shirt.
flip your
Oh,
screen.
I got it. There you go.
Party at Rhodes.
So
Party.
2023 squad. Shout out to the seniors on the front.
How's
Good
that? It's
times.
like, I'm ready to party. It's like at some movie.
Oh,
Bridesmaids.
Bridesmaids. Yeah, Kristen Wiig.
Kristen Wiig. There it
Boy, that
is.
was probably really disconcerting for people when I just flipped my camera around.
They
But
said dirt.
now you can read the shirt.
Now you can read the shirt, spill the dirt.
Well, let's get to this dirt, Mindy, because the last
Okay.
time I talked to you, you could not speak. Why was that?
I don't know, Gray. Why was that? I called a lot of games. Again, if you have known me in some capacity, I have this thing. I preface this with saying my life is so cool and I have so many great things just like fall into my lap and it's amazing. And I work hard for those things to happen. But I have this thing and it started since I was a child, let's be real. But it got a name in college called hashtag Mendes moves. And just the things that happen to me, it's like, well, that's the Mendes move right there. So I'm calling these games this weekend for the Mary Nutter Collegiate Classic on Flow Softball, remote. I'm grinding out here. And day two, towards the end of it, I get like a little tickle. I get a little tickle in the back of my throat. And I'm like, all right, got 2 more days. Let me just stock up on the cough drops. Let me drink my emergency. Like, let me get my go-to tea. Did not work. And so I am fighting for my life trying to call games. Sunday rolls around. I am calling the Duke versus UCLA game with no voice. And Cindy
Oh,
Supley is my play-by-play. And I'm trying to call this game, and every other word is like, "Err." It was so bad. It was
that was
so
a
bad.
big game.
It was such a, and I couldn't get excited because then my voice cracks would get worse. So I'm literally on headset, and this is like in the second inning. And I get from my producer, like, in my headset, so a lot of times whenever you're broadcasting, there'll be, like, the talk back, so only the people who are in the booth with headset can hear what's going on from your producer. They'll say, like, "Oh, we're about to show this," or, "Hey, Nicole, just so you know, if you need to not call any more games, we have somebody on standby." And I said I texted because I'm like, I don't want to say this over talkback, but I'm like, dude, does my voice really sound that bad? Like, I know I sounded bad, but I was like, "I know I sounded bad." Um, yeah, and that was, like, one of the biggest games that I've called. I've called a few really big games so far this year, but that was one of the bigger ones, like, a really good battle, and my voice was just gone. It was just flew and fluttered away in the wind. Um, yeah, it's been a crazy, crazy weekend. To top it all off, Monday morning, I woke up after not going anywhere. I woke up with a flat tire. And I was like, Mendes moves, man. Mendes moves. Mendes moves. But, you know, it all works out.
Nicole, I've known you for a little over a year now.
Yeah.
And I feel like most of the time when I ask, hey, Mindy, how are you? There's some calamity that has occurred since the last time I asked you that question. And I don't know why that is, but that is kind of the way it is.
My aunt also had a heart attack this weekend.
That was very upsetting news when you told us that on the staff call. And I hope
Yeah.
she's okay.
She's much better now.
Okay.
She's staying with family. But, it just and I was thinking about this the other day, and why is my finger like this?
I don't
I was
know.
thinking about this, and I was like, I feel like and I'm still trying to decide if this is a good thing or bad thing. I'm writing, so I do mental chalk talk, so I work with teams on the mental side of the game and their performance, all of that kind of stuff. And one of the topics that I'm currently like building out and writing to talk about is the idea of rebound. Like how quickly as an elite athlete you have to be able to rebound. And so I'm thinking about this and obviously everything happens and it goes along and I'm like, man, I'm pretty resilient. Like, dang, there was this thing and this is okay. 2 weeks ago, then there was like this thing that, all right, a month ago, there was like this thing and this thing. I'm like, wow, that is quite a arsenal of things that have happened. But I don't know why my finger wants to come up. But I will say, um, I will say, I feel like I do for the most part take things in stride pretty well.
Mm.
Like it's not that I'm not upset or affected by it, but it'll happen and I'm like, "Wow, that's not ideal. Okay, got to keep going, you
I
know."
was I was gonna ask you because I've been thinking about this for a couple days now. Has there
Have
been a
you
time?
really?
No, I have because like there are times when we as broadcasters have to kind of bounce back from stuff going on in our own lives. And
Right.
I had an example Friday night. I don't want to. It's kind of a delicate situation that's like still ongoing, and I hope for the best in it. But I saw somebody who I've known for many years, and Alabama had just wrapped up a game against Southern Utah, and we've got a 2 minute break before post game. And so I told Tom, I was like, hey, she's about to leave. I'm going to go down and say, hey, real quick, I'll be back. And while I was down there, she told me some really upsetting news and something that like kind of rocked me a little bit. And so I had to take a beat and be like, all right, I need to go in. I need to do this post game show. And then I'll turn my mind back to this, but I got to like turn it back on a little bit.
I just
Has
got to
there
stuff
been,
it really deep down. Like
I
I just
just,
got to
I
bottle
just
it
need
up,
to
you know?
like I'm upset about this, but I gotta like pause for
Right.
like 7 minutes and then I'll come
Healthy.
back.
Yeah.
Has there been a time for you as a broadcaster where you're like, all right, all this stuff is going on and I gotta just like put it away for an hour and then I'll come back to it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Um so 2 weeks ago.
I really don't like how you're laughing. I'm
um
scared.
2 weeks ago my dad was in the hospital. Um, he thought it was gas, like, in his stomach, like a big gas bubble. It wasn't, and they don't know what it is. But I was literally in the middle of a game, and the doctor's, like, calling me, and I'm, like, freaking out, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh," and so I have to wait until the middle of the inning, and then I tell, like, my play-by-play, who I've never met before in person, we're calling it remote, so I'm kind of, like, to this stranger, I'm like, "Hey, my dad's in a hospital and his doctor's calling. Can you take a whole inning and just call it yourself? Like, because it was one of those things where, like, there was a lot of stuff going on, and if the doctor's calling me, I have to answer. Like,
Yeah.
that's something. And so it was not great news. And so I'm like, okay, thank you for telling me. And then I have to hop on headset again, and we're like the third inning. And so I have to go through the whole game and then just be energetic because that's what this role is, right?
Right.
And so that was pretty tough. But again, I don't know if it's good or bad yet. So if you're a therapist, let me know. Um
Yeah. Is
maybe we
it,
should
what
bring
does
one
it
on,
say about us that we can just like
which I'm
put
I'm
our
very
emotions over
pro
here?
therapy. I am very pro therapy. I have actually thought about finding a therapist in Houston because I'm like, I haven't had one since college, and I really enjoyed having one. And it was just sometimes it's good. I don't think you always need one, but I do think like in phases in your life you should revisit and have somebody to talk to and know like give you sound advice, and hopefully you have people in your life that can do that, but also like an expert. Um, and so I thought about that. I was like, I should probably see like a therapist and just be like, hey, like there's some tendencies and I don't think like anything's wrong or like I'm super upset, but just like I just want to chat about some things because there's been some wild things going on. And I just feel like I should just say this out loud to somebody and get their take on it and then go from there. But yeah, I'm very pro therapy. So maybe we should bring a therapist on the show.
I'm pro therapy as well. And I say that as somebody who has not been to therapy because I'm not really in a place to like be able, like, as a non-university employee, I don't really have that available for
Do you
me.
have
And
insurance?
yes, but
A lot of insurances covers therapy. Have you checked?
I have not checked. And
Okay,
frankly,
you
a
should
part of it is
check.
I don't know when I would go. Like I
PSA, their hours are really flexible. That's a really cool thing about therapy is their hours are really flexible because a lot of times they have to work around everybody else's schedules. Um, and a lot of times your insurance will cover mental health. So check it out. And a
okay.
lot of times your like if there's a doctor's note, and a lot of times I keep saying a lot of times, um, I almost want to say it again. Whenever you go to a doctor's visit, like if you want something with mental health, like you can ask them. Also, going to the gym and things like that, you can get a lot of free gym memberships if it's prescribed, like your doctor saying, "Hey, your life would be a whole lot healthier. Let me write this down on a note." So your insurance company will actually like pay for your gym membership.
Okay. That's
Pretty cool, right?
that's a good note. That's a good nugget. I will look. In
It
season
gets
is
but
hard
again,
to do much of anything for myself, but honestly, I'm happier in season than
probably
I
when you
am in
need it
like
most.
I kind of disagree. I really
Ooh.
need it in like January when it's right before season starts, but I'm like
Right, yeah.
alone, you know?
Yeah. Whenever you get that seasonal depression.
Yeah, but
I saw
if
I
I'm
saw
like having a bad day in season, I can just go to practice. And you know what? That'll make me feel better.
I love that outlook on life, Gray. That's great. That is a good outlook.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is there anything from this past week in softball that we need to talk about that was weird or crazy? I
Mm,
frankly, it was kind of standard. We had the fewest number of upsets we've had all year per the ESPN rankings that I use to track it all and have since 2019. There weren't
thank you for that
many,
background.
of course. That like SA rankings, we love them, but they
You
weren't really
saying all
around
of
in
that
2019.
you saying all of that was kind of like an FBI agent flashing their badge at me, like, "FBI, like, here's my badge." Like, you were like, "Since '29, the rankings, like, da 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 da." I'm like, "Certified,
Yeah.
certified."
I don't know. It was kind of a basic weekend.
Who was
I-
fun to watch for you?
Well, I'll ask this. Actually, this is a good segue because you and I had
A little text debate.
a little text debate about some of the starting pitching choices made by a few
Oh,
teams at the
oh,
Mary
yeah,
Nutter.
let's talk about this. I like that one. Okay.
Yeah. So I felt and still feel that Nebraska should have started Jordy Ball
Wrong.
against UCLA. Let me state my case, and then you can state your case. And people, you can reply in the comments and tell me who's right. I know most of you Sooners probably going to say Nicole anyway, even if you disagree. But let's see what happens. So
Oh.
I said Nebraska should have started Jordy because UCLA needs to pick up some of these big time wins, especially out of
UCLA or
conference. I'm
Nebraska?
sorry, because Nebraska needs to pick up some of these big time wins.
I'm
And
like, you're negating
UCLA,
your argument, Gray.
I
You're
know.
negating it.
UCLA would be one of these big time wins, and they don't
Right.
play in conference. They're not slated to play again this year. Best case scenario is they play in the Big Ten tournament, and then maybe at some point in the NCAA tournament. Nebraska's strength of schedule is not going to be conducive to host a regional. It's just not, and so they not only need to play these games, but they need to win them. And I just feel like starting Jordy gave them their best shot to win. And it's not like I know they had Duke the next day, but also, I think it was a full 24 hours. Like it's Jordy can handle that. I felt like it
She's
was a missed
fine, right?
opportunity. Yeah, look, Jordy can hang. Like we've seen it. So I don't know. It just felt like a missed opportunity. I understand the coaching point of we got to see if these other arms can hang against the good teams. But from my perspective, I want that skin on my resume, and that was a missed opportunity for Nebraska. My case.
That's fair. This is my thought. Okay. So whenever you look at it holistically, back at somebody's schedule, a lot of times you look at, okay, who did they play? And at the time, were they ranked? How were they playing? Like those kinds of things come into play because we all know there may be somebody that's ranked pretty high in preseason where they were playing like how they were ranked. And they might not be that way whenever May comes around. But that doesn't negate the fact that they were playing that good at that time. That doesn't negate the fact that at that time, they were ranked and playing at that level. So, in my head, you have Baylor, you have UCLA, and you have Duke. That is your 3-game slate, right? And so, obviously, the more top 25 wins you have, the better it looks for your team. And I don't disagree. Getting a win against UCLA would have been huge. But I would rather have Jordy for 2 games and get 2 top 25 wins, like, theoretically, as I'm approaching this, right? 2 top 25 wins, and then UCLA do our best, whatever. So you're still competing, but I really wanna secure 2 top 25 wins because I can stack that on, and there's still potential that you will see UCLA in the conference tournament, and with a pitcher like Jordy, I feel like not even conference, but whenever you get to conference tournaments, I feel like having a pitcher like Jordy, you're gonna rely on her pretty heavy at the tournament. You're gonna go far with a pitcher like Jordy, like, no doubt, right? Like you said, Jordy can handle it. I would rather her handle it in postseason than preseason, and if I'm gonna face her in postseason in the tournament, I would much rather a UCLA team face Jordy for the first time versus, okay, we saw her earlier this year. That's my thought and my take.
Okay, my counter would be I
I
can't
see you and I raise you one.
well, I can't guarantee that even if you start Jordy, you're going to win those games, i.e. the Duke game.
Right.
Duke won that game.
No one can guarantee it, but
Of
your odds
course.
probably are better.
Agreed, which is why I want to play the math and say, look, I can't guarantee if I pitch Jordy in these 2 games, but if we start her against UCLA and Duke, I think we got a shot to at least win one of those. No disrespect, but I guess a little bit. I don't think the Baylor win is going to move the needle all that much once
I
we
don't
get to
think it
tournament
will
time.
long term. No, long term no, but in the moment like you had to give a tip of the hat, like give a nod to where Baylor was ranked. In my head, you had to. Did they play that way? Absolutely not. They didn't play great this weekend at all.
Yank
They
him from
played
the pole.
they didn't play well.
Yeah.
But going into the weekend, we've heard it a lot from several coaches, but strategizing and thinking pitching by committee. And we've heard that from Nebraska. Obviously, Jordy's going to be the ace, but they don't want to just rely on her one arm. This is a great test. And going into it, strategizing, going, okay, what games are we going to really want Jordy to throw? And how do we fill that in? I think That was a mindset going into that tournament. Once you have that set, it's not that it can't change, it's just I don't know, to me, it made sense. So agree to disagree.
All right. Well, I'll also throw in
I'll
another.
also throw in all in, another stack here.
Well, I just want to mention. I feel like Arkansas made this same mistake as well by not
Okay.
starting Robin Herron against UCLA, and I'm full on just straight up looking at the schedule here. The
Yeah.
next, all right. So the Fullerton win right now, according to the
I
Warren
am with you
Nolan.
on that one.
Yeah, according to the Warren Nolan live RPI, Fullerton is 23. The next best non-conference game that Arkansas has or will have played or will play is, I'm looking, probably North Florida, who's right now their live RPI is 45. We'll see if that holds because ASUN conference play, they're going to play some teams that just naturally bring that down. You needed
Yeah.
that win. You
I
needed
agree.
your best chance to win that game, and that best chance is Robin Herron. And
Yeah.
again, the coaching thing, the coach, even though I'm not a coach, the coaching side is like you're starting everybody else to see what you've got because come SEC play, Robin Herron can't throw every inning. And
Right.
sure, okay, but you also really need to win that game. And at the first sign of trouble, I would have been like, all right, clearly this freshman, not now. Herron, go in and stop the bleeding, and let's see if we can come back and hit these UCLA pitchers. And I just feel like Arkansas missed a gigantic opportunity that I'm not sure they're going to get back in non-conference play.
Yeah, I do agree with that, but I do think the difference between Arkansas and Nebraska is Arkansas will have a tough conference schedule no matter what. If you play in the SEC, they're a little bit more lenient on rankings. And so you're going to get those higher ranked conference matchups. You're going to get those top 25 wins. Nebraska,
Sure.
they will get some, but they won't get as many. So I feel like it was more important for Nebraska to get those top 25 than it was for Arkansas. Now, I'm not saying I totally agree with you on the arm choice for Arkansas. I totally agree with you. But I don't think it was as necessary as it was for Nebraska, in my opinion.
Okay. That's all I got. You got
That's
anything
all you
else on?
got?
That's all I
No,
got.
no more.
Shall we read some things people sent us?
Yes, please.
All right, here it's time for dirt messages.
Dirty messages. Let's hear them.
I just put dirt because I can't have it say dirty messages on the screen. That's not gonna go well on the socials. All right, so I got a couple actual in-person questions. I'm not gonna reveal who told
Oh.
them to me, but
Oh, boo, that's not fun.
I can't.
This is the dirt.
I was specifically asked, do not say I said this. But I
Can
wanted to
you
ask.
can you
No,
whisper?
I'll tell you off mic.
Whisper.
No, I'm not even gonna put it in the private chat because you're just gonna
Put
say
it in the
it.
private chat. I won't say it. I won't say it.
Lie.
I
I'll,
won't say it. I just want to see.
I'm not doing it.
Gray, come on.
Nope. I'm just
Come
gonna ask you the
on.
question. All
I won't
right.
answer until I know who said it.
Okay, well, I'm just gonna ask you the question, so this is gonna be bad podcasting. The
It will
question
be.
is, what is let me find it. The craziest quote unquote, you gotta look at me doing the air quotes. The craziest quote unquote advice a fan has ever given you.
Name.
I'm not saying who it is.
Send it in the private. It literally says private chat with a lock on it. Okay. That's all I wanted to know.
Okay, don't
Was
say
it that
it.
hard? No.
A little bit.
So can you repeat the question?
Okay, great. What is the craziest advice a fan has ever given you?
Just hit the ball.
Yes. It's that easy, isn't it? Come on.
That was that. A fan caught me leaving the stadium. So I played at Marina Hines. I didn't get the lovely opportunity to play at Love Stadium. And it was whenever I was leaving Marina Hines and we go out the side. And as I was crossing the street, because we park across the street, well, that's also where a lot of our fans park. And so I was crossing the street and a fan like caught me as I was walking to my car. And they proceed to give me a breakdown analysis of my swing, told me how I should swing, told me I needed like my hips like should like and my hands and yeah, that was really insightful, really helpful. Um let's see what other pieces of
Can I
advice.
tell a little bit of a story that's similar?
Oh, please, yes.
All right, so we shared this on Out of the Box 3 years ago. So I'm not, this isn't something out of left field. Alabama lost a game to Texas A&M in 2022. And
Mhm.
while we were at the team dinner that night, Alabama did not play well. We were all pretty upset about the game. It was not great. And then all of a sudden everybody's talking about this 4-paragraph email that the coaching staff received with full, very condescendingly written breakdowns of all the issues with the team and why Alabama had lost that night. And then my
Oh,
favorite part was the conclusion that said, I'm just a regular guy, but this is what I noticed. Signed Anonymous.
if you're gonna go to the effort to put 4 whole paragraphs, like, if you're gonna be that bold in an email, like,
An
not even a
email.
Twitter troll, like, you really did your due diligence there, sir. So, hats off to Anonymous, but my goodness, you might as well sign your name.
Say it with your chest, boy. I mean, put your name on it.
Literally, put your name on it. Put your name on it. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And it was like very basic stuff too. I was like, oh, okay. Sure, throw strikes. Yeah, got it. Thanks, man.
Got it. Okay.
No more walks.
Throw
Okay, cool. Nailed it.
strikes. Hey. I was laughing about that same topic. I mean, that's a classic one, right? That one's just a classic. I mean, just throw strikes. And Nicole May, she does a podcast and she talks about the mental side of pitching. And she posted something about that. And there was a blooper reel that she also posted. And in that blooper reel, she must have said no less than 20 times, just don't, just don't. And I like comment on it and I messaged her and I'm like, I mean, I think what parents should get out of this is like, just don't tell your kid the obvious, right? Like, hey, swing and strikes. Hey, don't swing at that ball over your head. Hey, just pitch a strike. Hey, don't walk anybody. You're like, well, color me purple and tickle me pink because I never thought of that one before. That's a new one for me. Like, oh my gosh. Yeah. The obvious ones, I'm just like, okay. I don't know. But what's something good that you've seen in softball lately? Since
Something.
we're ragging on fans.
Well, okay, because we do have another message to read, but I
Okay.
think this is a good pivot as well. I like that people are kind of accepting the unpredictability of this year. That there's
Mm.
a certain faction of one fan base. Sorry to your alma mater.
Why are you apologizing? Nothing's
Who
wrong with my fan base.
I
What are
no,
you talking about?
I'm just
We're
saying.
perfect.
Oh, okay. Outside of a certain faction who
I
who seems to
Hey,
believe
say it
that.
with your chest, Gray.
All right, I will.
Say it.
They
Put
seem
your
to
name on
believe
it.
that there are no other good teams in the sport
Of who?
except
Who? What fan base?
it's
Say
Oklahoma
it.
fans. It's Oklahoma
Oklahoma
fans.
fan? Okay, okay.
Yeah. I think everybody else is like, yeah, I kind of like that we don't really know what's going on. And I appreciate that because, frankly, as a top 25 voter, this was the hardest week of the poll we've maybe ever had in the last year plus. I mean, trying to balance who does what. How did this week go? They took a loss, but then they looked really great in all the other games. They played good softball, but lost. They won, but looked terrible. I kind of like, and I think the fans of this sport this year are kind of really accepting of just the true unpredictability each and every week, and at times each and every hour. Like I'll be watching games, I'll be tracking scores, and it's hard to keep up with everything going on just because so many eye popping scores will pop up just when you're not ready at all.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. I think last week was the hardest one for me so far.
Hmm.
This week, I felt like, yeah, there was some movement, but, like, my choices felt a lot easier. Last week, I was like, I'm deliberating. I'm like, "Ah, ah." So, yeah. I think what I really like seeing from fans is I don't know, and maybe they've done this before in years past and I haven't noticed, but I just feel like there's a little bit more connection between fans and athletes and getting to know more of like their athletes' stories. I feel like I've seen that highlighted a little bit more on Twitter of like, oh, this athlete these are stats, there's always stats involved, right? But then they follow up with like, "Oh, and then she also does this," and like, da 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 da, like, they know a little bit more about the athlete as a person, and I've seen a little bit more of that, and I can really appreciate that, and I think that is also a big part of what makes softball so fun. So, I'm a fan of that, of seeing that, so, yeah. What was the second question?
The second question is not softball related. It's what's your favorite Girl Scout cookie?
Did I tell you my Girl Scout cookie story?
No, please.
Are you serious? I haven't. Oh, this is perfect. Wow. Wow. I couldn't have plated this into my lap any better. You go first because I have a story attached to this.
Wait, I don't have a story. My answer is Thin Mints in the freezer and s'mores. Also, apparently there's a French toast cookie now, which I would really like to try.
I have not heard about that, but there is a dad whose daughter is in the Girl Scouts at the place that I work out at. So I will ask my Girl Scout cookie plug. I'll be like, hey, rumor has it, like, you got any of those?
Last time I checked, you're coming to Tuscaloosa. If you find any French cookie Girl Scouts or French toast Girl Scout
Bonjour.
cookies, I don't know what that was, then bring them here.
All right.
French cookie Girl Scouts? What just happened?
I was like, "Are they baguettes?" Like,
Oui, oui, bon. It's a Girl Scout cookies.
you committed to the bit a little too hard on that
Anyway,
one.
what's your Girl Scout cookie story?
Ooh, ho. I just need a clip of that. Just whenever you call, instead
Bonsoir.
of a ring, it's just that sound just over and over. It's like,
Bien Cyril.
Okay. Favorite Girl Scout cookie is the Thin Mint in the freezer. I actually have 2 stories. So how that
How?
became
How do you have two Thin Mint stories?
Okay, I have a story for everything. What do you mean?
Okay, fair.
Thin Mint story number 1, I figured out that that was my favorite Girl Scout cookie because our doctor during college, his daughter was also a Girl Scout cookie. His daughter was also a Girl Scout, and he was selling the cookies. She wasn't actually a cookie. Um,
Keep going. You're killing it.
I'm killing it. And so I panicked because coach wasn't there yet, but she was gonna get there soon. And we all kind of like had this unspoken that like you have to buy the cookies before coach comes because we didn't want her to see that we were buying cookies. And so there were only like a couple of boxes left, and I really wanted some cookies. And coach was coming, and I was like, I'll take 2 boxes of Thin Mints. And so I like run, I like hide in my locker, like, "Ugh." But then I only had time to eat 1 cookie, like a singular cookie before the game. And so I'm like, all right, like eat one and like run out there. And I had such a great game. And so I was like, oh my gosh. I'm a softball player, like, I'm superstitious.
Of course.
So my senior year, I had one single cookie before every single home game.
Really?
For the entire season. It was great.
All
But
Thin Mints?
also
Did you ever vary it up, or was it Thin Mints
only
only?
Thin Mints, but
Okay.
it tested my self-control and patience to the highest degree. The highest degree. Because they're so good out of the freezer and they're just like there, and then it's already like an open sleeve, and I'm like, oh, like two would taste so good right now. And then I'm like, no, I can't because I want to keep winning and playing good. So like I can only have one.
All right,
Yeah.
wait, follow up. So if you had eaten 5 Thin Mints and this had happened, would you have to eat 5 Thin
Oh, I
Mints?
would have eaten five. I would have sacrificed my body for that. Absolutely. Anything for the dove. Anything. I went 4 for 4 that day, and I think I even had a home run. I was like, it was a Thin Mints. I'm like, there was some variation in routine and something went well. So I'm no
So
scientist, but
so you brought a sleeve of Thin Mints to Hall of Fame Stadium in OKC?
no, I didn't. They stayed in my freezer. Only home games.
Okay.
hmm
Okay.
I won't lie though. We did have like those breaks. Um, and I think we went back like twice to Norman. So I did eat some cookies when we went back to Norman. But I didn't count it because we weren't playing a game. We were having an off day.
Mm.
So, yeah. Do you want to hear my second?
Yeah,
Second one.
of course I do. When have I ever said no?
So this one's more recent. And this is a follow-up to something that we talked about off dirt last week. And I was
Off
like,
the dirt
ooh,
in the grass?
in the grass last week. And I was like,
Yeah.
ooh. And I was like, no, 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 oh wait, oh wait, oh wait. Um, so I gotta like readjust myself for this one. So I started recently working back out in person at my gym with my trainer. My trainer is fantastic. So whenever I tore my ACL, he was one of the trainers back in Houston whenever I was home training that helped me really recover from that. My return to play program, he was the one who did it. He's fantastic. I recommended Tori Vidalis to him and she trained with him last year. Got fifth at Athletes Unlimited, said it was the most strong she felt. So shout out Chris Slocum. He's amazing. What? I probably shouldn't have said his name because anyways. So I'm training with him. And well, because then people there's some detectives online. And so I'm like, well,
You're kidding. Detectives online? Stop.
th- Gray. Anyways,
Keep going with your story. I'm sorry.
so I'm working out
All love.
and this is like last week, last Monday. And there's a new professional athlete who's a male came to train with him and we're working out at the same time. We're not doing the same workout, but we're like working out around the same area with the same strength coach. Well, he kills our strength coach kills both of us. We're like working out and just like, you're like had that workout where you're just like, "Oh my gosh, like I'm dying. This is so hard." And I look over and I make a joke and we hee hee ha ha. Um and we're like talking a little bit and he like walks away and I'm about to I'm doing pull-ups, okay? That tells you how hard this workout is. So my trainer wanders over and I'm like, well, I guess I'll put off my pull-ups for a couple more seconds so I can just, because he wants to talk to me, not because I'm trying to like avoid doing
Sure.
pull-ups or anything. Not me. And he goes, hey, like, he's typically pretty shy. Like he doesn't really talk to people normally. He's pretty talkative right now. I'm like, oh yeah. Yeah, he's pretty talkative right now. So I had told my trainer because he'd asked about my relationship status. And he's like, you mentioned it. Like, tell me, our trainers are like our therapists. And he was like, I got some friends, like, if you don't mind, like, I could recommend, like, all that kind of stuff. So Chris has known me since I was in college. Like, I'm like, "Oh, Chris, like, okay, cool. Like, let's go. All right. All right. Like, okay. And then I do my set of pull-ups. And then of course, here comes Chris. He wanders back over and he's like, hey, that was one of the guys that I was gonna mentioned, and I was like, oh. And he goes, what do you think? And I'm like, oh, let me like look at him. Like, what do you mean? What I think? Like, obviously a yes.
Yeah.
This man is like lean, cut, fit, obviously athletic. I'm like,
Basically my twin.
basically. I think the only thing that you guys have in common is your height, and that's probably about it.
Wow.
Not in a bad way, but just I was like, yeah, Chris, that's an obvious yes. And so then
I
comes
just got
his
so
dad.
slammed. I'm sorry. Keep
No,
going.
I didn't mean it like
No,
that.
I set myself up for it. Please
You
keep
did
going.
a little
I
bit,
did.
but like it was all in love and
I
kindness.
chased the rise ball. I chased it. You
Hey,
threw it. I
don't
just
swing at the
went
ball over your
fishing.
head.
It just hit the ball.
Hey, just hit it. Swing
Yeah.
at strikes.
Keep going. I'm sorry.
Anyways, so then the dad with the Girl Scout cookies comes in.
That's me right now. That's my face. Keep going.
That's too good. He said, oh. Anyways, the dad with the Girl Scout cookies, he comes in. I'm going to wrap this up because I'm getting long winded and it's really funny. It's not. It's actually a toot on my own horn. But the dad with the Girl Scout cookies comes in and he lays out all these Girl Scout boxes on this bench. And I was like, oh my gosh, I love Girl Scout cookies. And I'm thinking of that first story that I told with the Thin Mints. And I'm like, oh, Thin Mints, those are my favorite. Those are the best ones. And so that guy, he's like, oh, like, which ones are your favorites? I'm like, oh, the Thin Mints for sure. You put them in the freezer and it's a lock. Like, so good. Well, then he's like looking around and he grabs a box, grabs another box, and he goes, give me 2 boxes of the Thin Mints. I'm like, that's right. And he goes, I'll buy these for you on a condition. And I'm like, ooh, I know where this is going. And so he's like, basically was like, do you like want to hang out? And I was like, all right, like I'll hang out. But he hasn't asked me out. It's been like a week. So yeah.
So we're kind of calling him out right now, is what I'm hearing.
Well, he's never gonna see this.
Are we
So
sure?
also, I forgot to ask his name and I don't have his number. I've seen him like twice,
Wait.
3 or 4 times since. But like whenever you work out in the same vicinity and like you
No, of course I don't.
don't do that great. In the same vicinity and like you just see someone over and over and over. It's like you know them, but you
No.
might not know like their name or something.
No, I purposefully go upstairs to the gym when no one is there because I
Okay,
do
what
not want
about
others there.
what about whenever you like you visit one place often, so you start to recognize the people who also visit that place. You get what I'm saying?
Sure. Okay.
And you may not know like their name, but like you'll be like, "Hey," like you'll chat a little bit. It was kind of like that. So like I've known him, but I don't know him. Um yeah, I forgot to ask his name. But yeah, I haven't he's made 0 steps towards that, so I'm like, like, but it did give me a crazy, like, "Dang, like, I am cute, like, hey." So
Hey, twin, if you're watching this, you should introduce yourself to Nicole.
"Hey, twin, what's up?"
You should let
It's
her
your
know your
girl.
name.
It's your girl, Thin Mint. 'Cause I'm skinny, I'm getting skinny this summer. Oh, alright,
Oh.
I'm done. Don't change my name, don't do it, you're
I'm not
doing
going to.
something.
I'm not going to. I was ready to play music for the final segment of the show unless you have anything else.
No, that's it.
All right, if you're ready,
I'm ready.
shall
Let's
we do
go.
it? All right, let's see if this music works this week. It's time for
The Stain.
this is this week's epic.
AI is so odd with their music voices.
This is why we don't approve of AI. Let's try cinematic.
Okay. Take away the stain. That might be worse.
This is
What's hip hop?
The Stain. I'll play hip hop. I got you. That's
This
not
is
even.
lo-fi. This is lo-fi.
All right, play it.
No, I'm saying like that is what lo-fi sounds like.
Oh.
Okay.
This is a disaster. AI had kind of crushed it that one time, and since then I have not found a single beat. No. What?
Frat flick.
Are we in Ibiza? No, I'm not. I'm not into this.
Come on, do the stage.
It's not darty season.
Come on,
It
Gray.
kind of is darty season though.
I was about to say it really is though.
Yeah,
Now that
Alabama
it's
had a
starting to warm
bunch
up.
of darties this weekend, and let me tell you this before we get to the stand. Tom, we were driving to the basketball game Saturday, driving past all these darties, and he was just asking me questions about darties. He was like, "So, is a darty like a party in the yard?" I was like, "No, it's a day party." He said, "Oh, that would make sense. Otherwise, it'd be a yardie." Haha. And I was like, "Man, you are such a father. Like, come on." And he was asking, like, "So what do you do?
Dad.
What do you do after darties?" And I was like, "I don't know. You go to the bars." He was like, "But you were
No,
just
what?
drinking all day." I was like, "Yeah, you go to the bars, or you go to somebody's house."
Isn't the whole point of a darty so you can go to bed early?
Not at Alabama. It's just an excuse to do your thing in the afternoon as opposed to the evening time.
Oh, I was always under the impression that if you darty, then that means like you're done at a decent time. So it's like, all right, that's it. And then you tap out and you go to bed early.
Maybe I'm just revealing a lot of stuff about my friends, but everyone was like, "All right, let's go to Galette's." After I did not go to Darty's because they're always during softball season, and I was working, so
Yeah. I didn't
part of the
also go
deal.
to darties because I was, playing
Yeah.
in
So
softball season.
just circling back, we were so cool in college.
So cool.
All right, what's your stain, Mindy?
Okay, so I recently got my nails done. They look okay. They're not
Nice.
they're not solid white, but they're supposed to be something else. Um, I didn't have time to wait for my regular girl who typically does my nails because she takes forever, but she does such a good job. So I just got put with a random person. And whenever she's doing it, she goes, "I'm gonna do one nail and you let me know if this is what you want, and then we'll go from there and I'll do the rest." I'm like, "Perfect, great." She does it and I'm like, "No, like I didn't want it to be like white and then my nail color. Like I kind of wanted it to blend and be it like a softer white." I was asking for a French tip.
Sure.
Um, I took 4 tries and I kept telling her no. Like, and after the 4th time, I was like, I feel like I can't keep saying no. And then she started chattering away and I couldn't understand what she was saying. And I got really like anxious and like embarrassed, but I'm paying like so much money to get my nails done. And I just want what I want, right? And like my normal nail girl, she kills it. So I originally, let me just show you a picture of what it was that I also showed her. And I said, "Can you give me this?" And she said, "Yes, absolutely. No problem at all. This is easy." I said, "Can you, let me turn up my brightness." Oh, oh, that is bright. Okay. That's as bright as it goes. I said, "Can you give me this?"
Lovely.
Yeah.
So she did not pass the test.
She did not pass the test. I told her I wanted a French tip, and my nails are basically white. They're square. They're super chunky. And I kept asking her to file them, and she wouldn't. She'd go like, and then she'd look at me, and I'd be like, "Can you file them some more?" And like, it's still
Was this
not.
your regular place?
This is my regular place.
Regular
But
girl?
no, not my regular girl. I didn't have time. So my question to you, I guess, because I'm like, at what point am I like in the wrong of like, I won't lie, I caved. After the 4th time, I was like, "Yeah, that looks perfect." And then after like the 4th time of asking her to file my nail, I was like, "Yeah, that's great." How many times are you allowed to be like, "No, that's not it," before you have to give in? Because it's kind of like if you're getting your hair cut, like you have to speak up, or suffer the
Right.
consequences. You only get one shot. But like with your
Well,
nails, I don't know.
it's an interesting question because I did actually have this conversation with the girl in town who cuts my hair, because I famously, the most diva thing I do is I get my hair cut in Birmingham. But my wonderful haircuttress Michelle was
Hairstylist?
sick. I prefer cuttress because it's fun to say. She was sick. And so I needed to get my hair cut because the next day we were doing the first weekend warm up here in Tuscaloosa, which is a great event. If you're an Alabama fan, please get tickets. We got one before Oklahoma the Friday before. So, Mindy, come by.
Hey, what? I'll be there.
Yeah.
I actually will be there.
I would like for you to attend with as my guest. That'd be great. So anyway, so I went to the girl in town who cut my hair while I was in college. She's actually related to Sherry, who you've met, who's part of the athletic
Yes.
department. So we were talking, and she said, it's been a minute since you've been back. And I said, yeah, when I was in Florida during COVID for FGCL stuff, I went and got my hair cut, and this guy just, I mean, I wish I could pop up the video. I've got it somewhere, but I can't because I cuss in it, and it looked so bad. But she asked, so wait, so when did you notice? I was like, about halfway. Like I was spun back towards the mirror, and I was
You
like,
got like the glimpse and
oh,
you're like,
no. But at that point, what can you do? Because it's
right.
not like they can grow the hair back. So I just had to sit there and eat it. And then as soon as I got home from Florida, which by the way, I'll never forget, Taylor Johnson, who I believe at the time was with NC State, she transferred to Wisconsin. At that time, I might be wrong, and I apologize, Taylor, if you're tuning into this. I got out of the car the next day, and she was like, hats exist. And I was like, oh man, I'm gonna get roasted by all these girls the rest of the summer. I
Did you?
I did. I get home and I'd already texted my mom. I was like, it's so bad. And this was, during COVID. So I'm living at home. I get home and she's like, oh no, you're going to see Michelle tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
So that's how that happened. But basically, like she asked about that, and it kind of ties into what you were saying. Like with a haircut, if you don't notice it at the very beginning, you're in, like you're locked in, and you're
You're
about to have
done.
to drop another $40 somewhere else to get
Yeah.
it fixed. So with nails, I have no idea. I've never gotten
I
gotten
just
anything done with these, but I also feel like with filing, it's got to be kind of the same, right? Because it would look uneven, wouldn't it?
well, it is this one is uneven, my index finger on my right hand. And every time I look at it, I'm just like, it's like that picture. I don't know if you're like this. No, you're not like this. It's like the picture frame that's like a little crooked and you look at it and you're like, "Ugh, I gotta make it even." And it'll bug you if you don't.
I'm 100% like that. Have you met me? What are you talking about? I've been looking at the picture frames behind me during this video often.
There was one picture frame that was crooked for like 2 weeks. Every time we would be on video, I was like,
Which one?
I don't know. It may have been, I think you're right.
I
Yeah, it's a little embarrassing.
can't believe I didn't notice that. I'm embarrassed for me.
So you're just embarrassed.
Yeah, that's what that means.
I'm embarrassed for me, so embarrassed.
This is by far our most off the rails dirt since we came back this season.
Oh man, I hope this is like
Do you have any other stains? Because I do have a couple I want to get to, and I don't want to run too long.
okay, go ahead.
Okay, my first. By the time we record our next episode of The Dirt, the Oscars will have happened. Nicole, are you a fan of cinematic award shows?
I don't think I've ever watched a single award show.
Ever? Not even the
Ever.
Grammys? Nothing?
Not even the ESPYs.
Really?
Really.
I famously, according to last week's show, I did not watch last year's ESPYs.
I kept up with it on Twitter. I think that counts.
Okay. Well, I'm a big prestige cinema guy, so the
Okay.
Oscars big for me.
Don't you like review movies?
I do. I
Yeah.
just actually, as we record this, let's see. Thursday, my top 10 movies of 2024 podcast with Tom and our Oscar predictions will be dropping on the Out of the Box podcast feed. So tune in.
Ooh.
Tune
Yep.
in.
Okay, so Oscars.
So I'm saying right now, I just wanted to put this on the fine print because that episode we had to do we did those picks. We recorded it Sunday. Just spoiler. The SAG Awards had not happened yet, which are the big acting awards body. And on
Okay.
the pod, I said I am picking Adrian Brody for best actor, but I would like to see what happens in the SAG Awards. Unfortunately, I can't because we're recording before that. So I'm picking Adrian Brody. Well, on the podcast, I said if Timothée Chalamet wins the SAG, I want to switch. So I'm doing it here. I think Timothée Chalamet is going to win Best Actor. Just saying it. Okay. My second stain, my real stain. We need to be better in our critiques of teams, fans, peoples, because I see in comments everywhere. I saw them in probably about 6 or 7 SEC teams comments this week. Basically, everybody who lost. I opened the
Right.
comments and I saw, and there was like, this team's bad. This team stinks. They don't. All right. They could be 500. And you know what
Or
they aren't?
if they
Bad.
do, tell me why. I
Now,
like hearing people's gosh, why do I keep pointing?
point.
I I like hearing people's opinions on why. So, if you're like, "This person's bad," tell me why, because I just think it's so interesting. Like, that's what I wanna hear, is, like, why you think that.
But my point is, though, like, no SEC team is bad at softball. You know, they might be not as strong compared to other teams, but they're not bad at softball. You know what teams are bad at softball? The teams that are like 2-12. They are bad at softball. Teams that are in the SEC on the lower side, you know what they are? They're average at softball. They're not having a great year.
I
They
think
don't
that's where we
stink.
differ.
Really? No.
I
See, I
just
did this all year with Alabama football fans. They were like, "This team stinks." I'm like, "No, they don't. They're 9-3. What are you talking about? You can't
yes,
stink and have a good record. Like
you
that's
could yeah, you can.
no, no, no,
I
no.
think yes. I think you're awful if that's your record, like, you're just awful. But in my head, bad is like there's great teams, there's very good teams, there's good, and then there's bad, and then there's awful.
So there's no okay for you. Like there are teams that are like, I'm
Not
like, they're
really.
fine. They're okay.
That's kind of like whenever you see like the top, like I would say like top 6 teams, top 8 teams, like they're all kind of, I would say, at that level. And then there's like some kind of drop off that happens, right? That to me is like where the okay lives. Like, it's like there's always like that they're good and then they're bad. Like the okay teams, I feel like there's that drop off where it's like,
Interesting.
I don't know. And I think truly, and this may be wild, and I just in my head, the way that I view teams and like the way that I view like what good is and what really good is, anything that's not that, like just because you have a winning record doesn't make you good. Nope. Doesn't make you good. That's not good softball. Somebody has to lose. Doesn't mean there's been so many games where teams will win and it was ugly and it was
For
bad,
sure. For sure.
but they won. Does that make them good? No. Does that make that game good? No. I don't know. This is something that I don't always talk about publicly because I feel like I get like way controversial on
I
this.
I respectfully and I adore you, my dear friend. I think
Are
that's
we
crazy.
disagreeing twice in
I
one
think
pod? This is
I
amazing.
I think that's an impossible like if you say there are only 8 good teams in
No, no, no,
softball.
no. Very good. Very good.
All right, 8
And
very
that
good
was
teams and what? 20
and
good
that was
teams?
no, 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 no. That was like the analogy that I was giving was like
Okay.
you see the top 8 and then there's like yes, there's 9, 10, 11, 12, but I feel like at certain points in the rankings whenever you're looking and ranking at teams, you see this big separation as far as like the next team up might not be able to perform at the same level as, like, those teams, but they're a little bit better than, like, this group that they're in. So they're kind of, like, in this limbo.
All right, I'll say this, and then I'll, if you have anything else to say, that's cool. But I feel like I have seen enough softball of kind of all walks of life. Let's just say the last 8 years, because I've done summer leagues,
Fair.
I've done a little bit of everything. Where like I can see something and be like, okay, that's not good. That player isn't good. This is bad.
Awful.
But this is where the phrase mid really works for me, because I'm very comfortable calling a
Mid.
team mid and being like, they're kind of mid and they're not as good as other teams in their conference. I don't necessarily think they're bad, because every team who's mid probably still has good players, because that's kind of how the sport is
Right.
operating now.
But you're talking about the team as a whole, not, like,
Right.
individuals.
And I would use mid or fine or
Fine is, like
just okay.
fine to me is, like,
It would take a
lukewarm.
lot for me to be like, that team is bad. And just because I've seen bad.
I've
I've been
seen I've seen some things.
you see
You've
things.
been
You
around the
see
block?
things. I've been around the look, we broadcasters, sometimes we stumble into things and we're like, oof, what's going on here? And I have seen bad softball and bad teams. And so
Yeah.
I'm very hesitant to label a team as bad. And I also think fans shouldn't jump at the first opportunity to label their own team, by the way, as
I
bad
agree.
anyway.
Yeah.
So
I
anyway,
think
that's my
we
stance.
just have
That's how
different
I felt.
perspectives on this. I love that.
That's totally cool.
I love a good spirited debate. Next week, we should pick a topic. Maybe if somebody, like, comments a good topic, and you and I can debate on it. It'll be like debate class. We have to pick opposite stances and prove why.
Okay, I like
That'd
that.
be kind of fun.
Somebody send a debate topic for
Give me,
Gray and
like, something,
Nicole.
like, so controversial. Like, please. Like, I've seen some crazy plays at the plate. So, like, that rule.
Obstruction? Oh boy.
That would be a fun one to debate.
You really wanna go down that rabbit hole? The
Oh,
obstruction?
I'll go down that rabbit hole. Oh, absolutely. That would be fun. Oh my gosh, I'm excited.
Okay. And also, I propose a new segment as well, where we deliver our true hot takes, like something obscene that is so not obscene. That's something so random that, like, maybe is a pet peeve or something like that. Like get let you know. I'll be ready to argue about people not using
People
their
who chew with
blinkers.
their mouth open. Ugh,
Okay, yeah,
gross.
that too.
Ugh.
I detest that. I don't know. Just send us segment ideas, dear people. We would love to
Dear
hear from you.
people, like, comment, subscribe. Please send in some good comments because I love, like I said, I love hearing what y'all think. I would love a good debate topic between Gray and I.
Yeah.
Um, I love being right.
Yeah.
So
Wow. You know what I'm going to do? Here we go. I'm going to set one of the debate prompts right now.
Oh, I was about to say, I'm gonna make my burner account and comment.
No. Excuse me while I flash this warning to the people.
Not Nicole is gonna comment, and it's definitely not gonna be me.
Of course.
It says not Nicole, obviously.
All right. All right. Here's what I want you to do. And I'm going to do this too. Next week when we dirt, we're going to be a month into the season.
Okay.
I want you to state your case for National Player of the Year. I want you to pick a player, and I will pick a player. I'll have two players. I'll let you go first. So if you take one of the two I've got, I'll argue the other one. And we'll never know. I won't reveal that if you took my player. But we will have a true debate about National Player of the Year after a month, about who we're
Okay.
passionate about.
Let's go.
I want the fisticuffs to come about. And what T-shirt will I wear next week? I don't know. Someone
I don't
send me
know.
one.
Somebody send Gray a t-shirt, please.
For the love of
Somebody
all that is good,
please.
send me a freaking
I
t-shirt.
need a
Thank
War
you.
Eagle on here to send him a shirt immediately. ASAP Rocky.
Shout out to my friends Chris and Kate Malvo. Hi. If you send me a shirt, I'll wear it. I said I would. This was fun. I always enjoy getting to hang with you, Mindy. It's fun. Good times.
The best of times. We love it. We love a good debate.
Yeah. Hey, leave reviews, comment, subscribe. Comment, right, Nicole? That's what you want.
Comment.
The point.
I need like a little comment.
Is there music for that?
I was singing it. That was the music.
Almost definitely not, based on the evidence of tonight. Okay. I'm good. You good?
I'm great.
Okay, awesome. You always are. For Nicole, I'm Gray. Thanks for joining us on The Dirt. We'll catch you next time.
Wrong side every single time, Gray.
I'm sorry.
I'm sick of it.
The camera flipped.
You look at where you are and you go in.
Okay.
Every